Hi, my name is Koku with blackfilm.com, and today I'm interviewing TT the artist. TT the artist brought us hi. She brought us Dark City Beneath the Beat. It's such a beautiful, beautiful ode to Baltimore. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm very excited. And it's so funny because prior to even meeting with you, or even us, having this discussion, so many people in my timeline are talking about this movie. I've got a lot of friends from that particular area, and I'm a big time music head, so it's like this is just really exciting in my circles. Everybody's like, "Oh, you interviewing TT the
That's
artist?"
what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I know that you were actually originally born in Florida. So what brought you to Baltimore, and what made that city so important to your development?
Well, yes, I was born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I actually moved to Baltimore when I was 18, and it was to attend the Maryland Institute College of Art. So, it's to further my education, and I really didn't I wasn't too familiar with Baltimore. I never even been past like the state of Georgia or Alabama. So, I literally just showed up to Baltimore freshman year of college. And I would say that's when, everything kind of changed for me because I was literally getting ready to transfer out of school because I was so homesick. And then, I started to get involved on campus. And then I also like came across club music, and I
Hmm.
started making friends with, becoming friends with more local people born and raised in Baltimore. So they were taking me out of that college bubble. And that's really when, like, one of the things that made me stay. It was just like I started to feel like I was a part of a community.
It's very interesting because a lot of times people will move to another city, especially like with college. I did the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, but to be embraced by that city and to take on the sort of leadership role that you have, it's kind of a little bit more unique,
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that you were obviously very well received out there. But what do you think even really led to that? Because I mean, you've lived other places. I saw that you actually were in New York at some point, in LA.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you always return back to Baltimore?
Well, to me, Baltimore became my home. I feel like when you grow up, your younger years, you could spend your whole life in one city, but then as an adult, you spend a big portion of your life in another city and you meet new friends, and then those friends become extended family. And, that to me is kind of like what brings me back to Baltimore often. I'm currently based in LA. I've been in LA for 3 years, but I've made it a mission to continue to connect artists that are coming out of Baltimore, creators, to the industry, and allow their talents to be seen on a higher level. Like that's something that I made a mission of mine. Like working with dancers out of Baltimore, working with filmmakers out of Baltimore, singers, musicians. It's just for me. That's what it's all about, bringing those resources back. So that's become one of my missions, to continue to do that. That's what brings me back to the city, just knowing that um, artists, just me being an artist that lived in Baltimore, just knowing what we need and knowing the resources we need, and even just like the motivation we need, and just somebody just reaching out, wanting to collaborate or make you a part of a bigger project, after you've been grinding and struggling, struggling as an artist, to have opportunity, somebody that actually believes in you enough to take your talents to a different level.
Hmm. So I want to kick back a quote to you, something that you said, and I want you to just expound on it. So
Hmm.
you said, people don't want to see a Black woman win. They want you to be good, but they don't want you to be better than them.
Yeah, that whole statement for me was really all about the Black woman's plight, like how we can overperform at any task.
Hmm.
We can outperform anybody in a lot of situations. Like we are the hardest on ourselves. Um, and it's like we can get to a certain level of success, but then there's things that get either hung over our head, or we're still not given that full access. And I think a lot of that comes from people just, one, being a woman, and people just still not processing that women can do things just as good as men.
Hmm.
But two, just being a Black woman, there's a lot of different political sides to this industry at play when it comes to who we are. And that's from our image, our personality, and so I felt like that was like a statement that I felt through my journey. It's like, okay, so I'm good enough for this, but you question me when I say I want to make a film. You know, like I'm good enough to be booked on your shows and talk at your colleges. And, you know, when I'm writing grants and asking for funding to support my film, you question if I can even complete the task, right? So those are things that I had encountered on this journey, just like people questioning my capabilities. But I've always known within myself that I was a very resourceful person and always equipped for the job.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And talk to us about Club Queen Records.
So I launched Club Queen Records. This year will make 3 years, this year, May. I launched Club Queen Records as a way to create a platform for women, specifically women of color, for their voices to be pushed front and center in the conversation of the music industry, to increase the representation, because I do feel like even in mainstream levels, us as women of color are not giving the representation that truly reflects our artistry. You know, it's like there's so many amazing talented girls out there in the industry that never just get that highlight or that moment, you know, to shine, because they're often told to change who they are, change the way they look. So Club Queen Records, we really are big on just you being authentically true to yourself, and honestly, it's starting with the music first, for
Mm-hmm.
creating quality music, helping artists understand how to put their records out independently, because you know, until you've kind of garnered a certain level of notoriety, like labels are not going to be calling you. So here you are, trying to make music independently, but you don't have the money. So we show you how to like get the money to sustain yourself. So you have funding for your project, so you can get your songs mixed and mastered. So you have guidance throughout this process, making sure that you have your publishing split sheets done. All these different things in music business that you know most artists just don't know about. We really help artists to kind of like get all those things together so they know how to do it themselves. It's very much about reach one, teach one at Club Queen Records. And specifically women, I feel like who haven't had that support, we encourage that at my label. So I feel like the label's been growing organically. And, you know, I'm really excited about what's going to come now that the film is out and people get to hear the story of what's happening with Club Queen Records.
I think it's amazing. I think that with you, I mean, obviously you're such a talented person and you're like a Renaissance woman, you do all these things, but everything with you goes back to helping other people, helping the community, obviously with Baltimore at its heart and helping women and, you know, it's a strong person. I mean, most people, I mean, unfortunately with opportunities like you do probably would focus on themselves. It might be easier to do that. I mean, what drives that selflessness and to the need to sort of make sure that, like you said, you know, you reach one, each one, teach one, using that.
Well, I would say it really comes from before I was really doing the music full time. I was working in the nonprofit world and I was teaching Baltimore City youth film production and music production. And just, I've always wanted someone to help me on my
Mm-hmm.
journey, or mentor, or just somebody who could give me consultation on next steps, best practices, how to navigate the business. And I didn't really have that as much. So I think that's where it comes from. It comes from just me being a natural teacher and also just like wanting to help people naturally, because my work doesn't evolve around the self, which I feel like a lot of people do tend to, you know, use their platform so that it's like it has to connect back to them in some
Mm-hmm.
way, shape, or form, which is brilliant for marketing. But um, one of the things
But
we
how
do,
does that serve you, right? Like if you're
right, right,
just
right. Like one of the things at my label, I'm very clear on like I'll come on board and help artists, and then helping to understand the business structure of how things are done. But I enjoy just like giving back because I know it comes back. You know what I mean? And I give selflessly because I know I have an abundance of things coming my way. And so that's what I think, uh, you know, what is it all for if you can't help others? You know what I mean? So I just felt like I always wanted somebody to do that for me. So if I could help anybody in any kind of way, even if it's just a conversation, which doesn't cost much,
Mhm.
then you know I keep myself open to that.
That's very beautiful about you. I'm gonna go ahead and pull in Denise. Hi, Denise.
Hi, ladies. Hello, hello. Hi,
Hey,
Titi.
Hi. Really super excited to have. Of course, we're talking to TT, the artist, right now, and she's behind a Dark City Beneath the Beat, and we also have Deniese Davis on right now, whom I'm also excited to talk to. And you're with Color Creative, and tell us what drew you to her film.
Oh man, I mean, this is one of those, like, I don't know if TT can attest to this, but right place, right time kind of moments. I mean,
Mhm.
I was familiar with TT and her music and her work through multiple seasons of Insecure, and then we met during season 4 of Insecure when she came and was a shadowing director for one of our episodes. And so we connected then, and I started asking about the work she was doing as a filmmaker because I wasn't aware of her as such. And she had mentioned this documentary. So she was going to send the materials over, and I almost couldn't help myself because I was so excited to see it that I Googled it and tried to see what was out there. And I found the trailer, I think, on a Vimeo website. And it fully blew my mind, right? Just because the trailer is so visceral, it's so visual, and the dancing and the movement, and just like the you could just see the culture seeping out of every single frame. And immediately I sent it to Issa, and I was like I actually think I followed up with TT going, I need to see this full film, because the trailer literally made us want to know more about it. And so when I did get the full link and was able to see the full doc, I mean, it's one of those things that really draws you in. I mean, one, you can't help but dance, but then two, I think the story that she's crafted around, there is so many different ways to tell the story. And I think her own approach, knowing that, she had lived there for so many years and was really entrenched in this community, it just spoke volumes in a way that if you are an outsider from a city coming in to do something about that town, I thought that she did it in a way that was so gracious and such a love letter to this culture and to Baltimore. Yes. So all of that to say, I mean, it hands down was something that, I, for one, love supporting in terms of storytellers and the type of work and bringing your own voice to something. And I think that really stands out to us in this way. I mean, it's the reason why we decided to come on board, support the doc, and subsequently go and sign TT and ask her to be one of our first clients in this management company we were literally in the first days of building at that time. So, if that doesn't speak for how much we believed in her and the vision for this project, I mean, we were like, there needs to be more people with your talent in our world, period.
TT, I'm going to say the same thing that she said. I mean, it's just really beautifully done. And just the way that you were able to weave this story around Baltimore. And, you always hear people talk about Baltimore and they don't always necessarily have the nicest things to say. You weren't necessarily crafting a different story, but you were talking about how beautiful the people are in it and what they're living or how they're dealing with the circumstances in some cases. And I just think that, anybody from Baltimore that watches that film will understand that you really understand the city. I mean, some people are from a place and can't contribute that much to it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth because, I mean, the general consensus has just been people have really it's been an overpouring of pride, like a new sense of pride. And people are like digging through their old crates and vinyls that were maybe pioneering club producers or DJs. And they're like, oh, I want in. Like, they all are ready to drop new music. Like, I'm literally seeing this happen. And I'm like, that's a great thing because prior to this, and, I tell people, I said, I gave them 15 years, what I'm saying? Like, from the time I conceived the idea in 2006, when I was a senior in college, till now, like, it's like literally 14, 15 years. And, for me, it was so quiet. It's like no one stepped up and really just like took this idea or just did something that documented something beautiful coming out of Baltimore. And so overall, it's just been such an overwhelming outpouring of pride in the city right now, like with the film being on Netflix and also the soundtrack coming out on Issa's label Radio. Like, everything's just been like beautiful.
It's like a perfect, just a melding up. The way everything happened, it's almost like surreal. It's serendipitous.
Well,
sure.
I think also I would add to this is that I definitely set intention for the film to go as far as it could go early on, like even when I was writing my grants, because that's a part of the process. Like, you get a grant, you have to give them your vision and also like, well, what's the takeaway and where do you plan to go once we give you this funding and you have this film? So I literally wrote, I love for it to premiere at South by Southwest. I love to land it on a distribution site like Amazon, Netflix, Hulu. And so for those things to have come, and for me, like, this is my first film ever. It's been I feel great. I feel a new sense of confidence. And I learned so much more now during that process that I'm really excited about my new projects.
But it's I mean, I see that you feel great, but it's also like it's such a reflection of the person that you are, because you
Right.
did something for the city. You didn't do it just for you. And it's just like, well, that's who TT is. So
Well, that she set those intentions, right? Like, oh,
right.
man, like to be able to write that down in 15 years later, it's for it to come true. I think that speaks to the testimony of adversity and just not giving up. And I think so many filmmakers, so many storytellers, they want to do their own projects, but I think what stops them the most is this idea that no one's going to see it. And I don't know how to do it. I feel like alone, but it's also, you know, I think the crew that she assembled and the team that she worked with through many years, and like this really was a labor of love. And I often think about all the success it's been getting over the last few weeks and think that at any moment in those 15 years, she could have put this away and said, I'm not going to finish it, right? And so to really see passion projects through and to put the amount of love that she did, you know, we're just incredibly proud. And supportive of that, because, you know, it just speaks volumes, I think, to many creatives around the world of who all have their own stories that want to tell.
No, thank you both. I think this is like a really important discussion, because it's really just about overcoming, you know, adversity, and just as you said, setting intentions, and somebody like, you know, TT just really just going out there and just seeking out, you know, purpose and a message, and making sure that that the world is bigger than yourself. I mean, that's just great. That's a great takeaway for me from you. Is there anything else that you're working on, TT, that you want to talk about that maybe perhaps we should?
So yeah, I'm starting to dive into the script writing world. I am currently in a women-focused directors incubator lab called Powder Keg, which was organized by Paul Fang, and I'm working on my first official short film production. And I just wrote, you know, my first feature film draft. So like, I'm excited because I'm exploring some of the new ideas and flexing some of my new creative muscles that I now have after going through this whole entire process. So yeah, and then of course, like with my label, working on my new album and a new compilation album for the label, which I feel like we're gonna have a lot more dope feature female artists a part of that. So yeah, like I'm just totally in creative zone right now. And also
Awesome.
just like I feel like honestly the hard work has been done. Like the heavy lifting has been done, and the wave, I'm trying to ride the wave all the way out, and I'm just open to opportunities coming and all of that. So I feel great. I feel like the hard part, literally, I could not even breathe until I click play on Netflix, because there's just so much, and Denise knows there was just so much of, you know, making sure files were delivered and, you know, all types of things. And at any point, anything could happen, but I'm just happy. Like we got here, and there was so many times that things did not work out on the journey up. Like there were moments where I almost was just like, I can't do this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I would say like around 2017, when the grants in Baltimore started to become a thing, I was like, okay, well, let me try this out, you know, but it just would never go away. The idea would never go away. And I felt like, I tell people all the time, I say, I'm just the messenger. Like, I don't know why, because a lot of people would say, okay, you're not even from Baltimore, but Baltimore did become my home at the age of 18. And I spent like 12 years there. And even when I was in New York, I was going back and forth to Baltimore doing my art thing. So, you know, I tell people that, you know, I keep saying, I say, you don't have to be from a place that you're, you know, call home to bring home a championship ring. So, you know, what I feel like I've done is open the doors for a lot of artists that are there currently, to be able to get some exposure. And I feel good about that, you know, and I think that it's already starting to show. We have artists that are getting asked to do interviews and press, and now they're getting grants to fund their projects. We have artists who are featured in film who are now writing books. Like it's really spreading, and that's the goal, is to change the mindset of the community so that they feel more empowered to go out and make more content and contribute to, you know, the overall creative fabric and quilt of the Baltimore art culture. So that's always been the goal for the film. So I think that it's doing its job right now.
It's doing its job.
Yes. Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Right. And Denise, did you have anything to add about ColorCreative, or anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think, for us, ColorCreative has been around for 7 years now, recently rebranded as a management company in the last year. And, this is the first full length feature project that we've produced and supported and put our names behind, but also, again, having TT be also a client of ours, I think it's just fully representative of the stories that we intend to tell, the filmmakers and the storytellers that we intend to support. And, I really think that this is like the very beginning of many, many more doors being opened up. So, stay tuned and just know this is one snippet of many things that we're very excited about. So.
Yeah, well, everybody's done a great job. I'm really excited about everything. And of course, looking forward to your products, TT, and of course, Deniese, your products as well. My name is Koku with blackfilm.com. We're here with Deniese Davis, who joined us a little later. And of course, TT, the artist. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much, guys, for bringing this art to the world. It has just been an amazing experience to watch it. And of course, I look forward to watching everything from both of you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.